Hi, and welcome to Qralloqian lore, a short tip and trick to using gamers playing. Today I want to talk about dice rolling, and I'm just going to talk about basic dice rolling. So these are just simple dice. You can roll a 1D anything, and so if in order to post something where there's a roll, you need to have some text in the dialog box. So I'll just say sample rolls. Then I click the advanced button. This gives me access to this rolls and decks. So for decks, I could put a number of cards in there and it would draw cards. But talking about the roller, so a basic roll is just a standard 1D something or XD something. So you could say fireball damage, 5D6. And then you can just post that. And what happens is at the bottom of the post, it adds the roll, the label you gave it, the dice that were rolled, and totals up the results. You can add modifiers to that. You can you can say attack roll 1d20 plus 5. Now I'm going to add a comma and put a damage roll in the same. So you can separate rolls with a comma. Keep the spaces to a minimum is my goal. I think that works better. In my label, I put a comma as well just to indicate to the GM or whoever's reading it what is actually going on. So you can see that with the fireball damage, it put one label, the roll below it. For the second one with the two rolls, it separates them as two different line items. There are some games where you want to re-roll aces. So for example, if you're playing Legend of the Five Rings and maybe you've got something called 4 keep 3. So I want to roll 4d10, that's the 4, and I want to keep the best 3. In Legend of the Five Rings, we always re-roll aces, so I'm going to roll this. Now, it's not going to do the math for me, but you can see that it's rolled an 8, 6, a 1, and a 4. So the highest 3 would be 8, the 6, and the 4, or 18. So I've rolled the 4d10s. I need to do the analysis myself. There are some systems. I think the Cortex system, for example, might have you rolling two different dice and adding them together. Savage Worlds can do that if the damage for a weapon might be strength plus a static dice for the weapon. So maybe if your strength was a d8 and spear was a d6, then in order to roll that, I'm going to have to go 1d8, 1d6, comma. I'll click reroll aces because in Savage Worlds also we reroll the top numbers when they come up. I'll save that. And so 3 plus 1 is 4. So again, I've had to do a very small amount of math in order to accomplish that. You cannot write 1d8 plus 1d6. It will actually stop the analysis right there. So if I go fail roll 1d8 plus 1d6, what it's going to do is going to roll a 1d8, add 1, and then roll a d6, I think. It's not going to work the way it's intended, though. So if I do that, yeah, you can see 1d8 plus 1 and a d6, which isn't what I typed, right? So the dice roller is not capable of adding separate dices. You can add a modifier to a single die roll, and that's about it. There are other options that you can find, whereas you can play with them. Some of them might only be available to a GM. For example, you could hide nothing, which is so it appears exactly like you saw before, where it's just displayed, or you could hide the dice and roll. You could hide everything. Now, if you hide everything, only the GM will see the results. So it's hard to see this, but you can see that the hidden dice and roll is a test, and the things in gray have been hidden. So it shows that there's a test. It doesn't show the results or what you rolled. With everything hidden, everything's in this kind of a light gray, which is probably hard to see on video, but it's a light gray, and so another person looking at it would not see any of the see that anything had been rolled at all. It'd just be there's no roll attached to this. So that's useful for sneaking on, being a sneaky GM. Anyway, that is my Qralloqian lore on using the dice roller.